Hey, Canucks fans, it is Canucks game day. It's the Canucks versus the Sharks. And I have my brother Jason here to share some insight on how we could have predicted how this Bo Horvat saga was going to go all along. But we'll get to that in a second. I am Clay, Emo Canuck Clay. This is my Canucks take, all in one take. It's Clay's Canucks commentary for Tuesday, December the 27th. If you're new, here's what you should do. Hit the subscribe button now for daily Canucks insight that's positive, timely, and trustworthy. Now, I'm going to have my co-brother Jason just sit there for about 2 or 3 minutes while I preview tonight's game. And then I'm going to throw over to him. We're at his beautiful home out in Surrey doing our Christmas gathering 2 days late. But so far, so good. What have we done so far?
We ate a lot of sushi.
Yes.
A lot of pizza.
Yes. After this, gift opening, ping pong. But first things first, let's talk about tonight's game. The Canucks face the Sharks for the third time this season. The Canucks have beaten the Sharks twice, both times in San Jose, both time overtime games. And now the Canucks face them at home for the first time this season. A chance to go over the 500 mark for the first time since the start of the year. They lost to Edmonton, and ever since then, we have not been over 500. We had a chance to go over 500 3 weeks ago, but we lost to Minnesota on a Saturday night. Then 2 weeks ago, we had a chance to go over 500, lost to Winnipeg on a Saturday night. But today is Tuesday, and I think this is a game where we should be able to win. How are the Canucks going to line up? Well, they have our awesome, amazing first lineup, PPK. We got Pettersson, Peterson, and Kuzmenko. Then you have Horvat with Mikheyev and Besser. You have Miller in the middle with Garland and Lazar. And then our fourth line of Oman, Joshua, and Stebnica. That means Sheldon Dries is our extra forward. On D, they didn't tweet out D pairings, but it sounds like Dermott's close to returning, but maybe not tonight. Dermott, Burrows, and Sheldon Dries were on the ice for a bit of extra work. So let's presume it's going to be the same six. Some combination of OEL, Myers, Shen, Hughes, Bear, and Riley still in, man. Yes, he's still in, and we simply can't get him out of the lineup. So that's how the Canucks are going to look. Before we get to the meaty topic, I've been predicting a 4-2 score for the Canucks ever since the start of the season. They have not. They almost hit it. They won 5-2 on Friday night. I'm going to go 4-2 Canucks with PD being my first goal scorer. What's your score prediction and first Canucks goal scorer?
I'm going 5-3 for the Canucks. First goal by Horvat.
Okay, so we got a 5-3. We got a 4-2. Both emo boys predicting a 2-goal Canucks victory. And if you're around tonight, I'm going to the game with my lovely wife Gail, with Jacob and Kayla, courtesy of Jason Lim of Van City Experts. Thank you, Jason. I'm going to rush home. I'm going to try and sneak in a quick half-an-hour live stream before my regular midnight church hour tonight. So join me for my live stream tonight, hopefully around 11:15. Now, hopefully we'll be talking about Canucks win. This is why I was so excited about today's vlog. Yes, the Canucks are playing again, a chance to go over 500, everything. The biggest story right now is the future of Bo Horvat. And the biggest story is whether or not the Canucks will have the space to re-sign him, if they even want to re-sign him, or if it's time to try and extract a king's ransom for him while his trade value is high. Now, my brother Jason and I, he's kind of like the more quiet, humble, but just as knowledgeable Canucks fan. You guys know him. He's been helped me with a lot of my music videos, so on and so forth. But we talk Canucks all the time, even though if I don't always share what we talk about on this vlog. I've had him on my channel. But Jason told me, he kind of predicted this Bo Horvat saga, how it was going to turn out way back at the end of the summer. But I want you to tell everyone basically how you got to that conclusion. I think it started with something that even preceded this by a few years.
Yeah, that's right, Clay. So I've been watching the Canucks like he has since the 1980s. Fairly in tune with how things work with the team and the media, and when the GMs speak or the owners, and you kind of see through some of the noise over the years. And one thing that I've always been kind of attuned to is when a general manager puts stuff out in the media that seems a little bit unusual. So I'll give you an example of that. So this is back in 2017. It was before the draft when they drafted PD. And one thing that I noticed, so Jim Benning was doing all his radio hits in the weeks leading up to the draft, and as it got closer to the draft, he was really talking a lot about Cody Glass, and there was actually a lot of people in Canucks land who wanted us to draft Glass. So I don't think people thought a lot of it. But the one thing that I thought was a little bit unusual about that was that it's so rare that a general manager would actually put the cards on the table like that. So I'm like, okay, I don't think they're drafting Glass, right, as much as people around thought that they were.
Yep.
And then the other thing that I noticed at the time is he didn't mention Elias Pettersson in any of the hits that I heard. He would talk about all the players, including like the guys at the top of the draft,
Yes,
who were projected to go ahead of him. Like he would mention them. He would go on about Glass. He'd never mention Petey. So in the hours leading up to the draft, I'm like, I'm pretty sure they're going to draft this guy. So I jumped onto YouTube. I hadn't really done any research about Pettersson, but then as soon as I saw some of his highlights from the Allsvenskan, I'm like, that's the guy. It's obvious that they're drafting him. He had this one play where he brought in the puck along the right side, circled at the blue line. He did like a no-look backhand sauce, cross seam, hit a guy coming for a one-timer. I'm like, okay, that is a phenomenal, unusual skill. That's the guy they're drafting.
Right. And I saw you tweet about that earlier today. So what you're saying is, as much flack that we give Benning for being too transparent, too honest, he was actually next leveling us in that he was actually creating a smokescreen.
That's the Jim Benning version of 4D chess. Yes. But I actually did notice that again. So bringing us back to the Horvat story. Yes. This summer, both Horvat and Miller were obviously they're both in the same position. They're both needing new contracts, both pending UFAs. One's a little older than the other, but both extremely valuable to the team. I thought it was unusual that in most of the radio hits, like Rutherford and Alvin were talking about, well, Horvat's going to get done. He's our captain. I thought it's a very unusual thing in a negotiation position, or any time where you want to hold your cards close to the vest. You don't want to give anything up in a negotiation. Yeah. Highly unusual that you would put something out there so overt in the media. So it planted the seed in the back of my mind that, you know what, I don't think it's Horvat that they want. Yeah. I think that their priority is Miller.
And just before you move on, those of you that have watched my channel for a long time, you might remember I recorded a vlog from this very house because my brother and his family, my mom lives out here as well. And I recorded a vlog from my mom's side. And I actually said this very thing, that I'm out here in Surrey, and my brother has been telling me that you watch, Clay, it's going to be Horvat, the one that gets moved, and not Miller. And I remember saying that 3, 4, 5 months ago from a vlog from this very address in Surrey. And it was weird when I was even saying it because it was so unfathomable to me.
Counterintuitive.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, Miller signs his big contract.
Out of the blue?
Out of the blue. Like no one saw it coming. And I really think that Alvin and Rutherford were putting out that stuff about Horvat to put pressure on Miller to get more favorable terms from Miller.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. So as soon as they signed the contract, the very first thought that went through my mind is, oh, Horvat, he gone.
Right.
He gone. There's no way. So I know even you listen to the guys in mainstream media, and they're like, oh, they'll figure out a way, they'll move money. But to me, it's not about whether or not you can. You can sign Horvat. You can find a way to sign Horvat, but you cannot, in the Canucks stage of development, commit to 2 late 20-something centers
for $8 million.
For $8 million each. Yeah. That's going to take them into their mid-30s when you're so far from contention. Yeah. And as much as you think about Rutherford and Alvin, they're not idiots. Okay?
Great point. And you know that Jason was serious because it was not even he's gone, it was he gone. He took off the apostrophe S. He did not need to use the word is. He gone. Now, there's one other thing that you told me back in the day, and it rings true now. Tell about the Kuzmenko thing.
Yeah, so early in the year, like it was pretty clear early on, say in the first 5-10 games, that Kuzmenko was something special. I don't think we really knew what he is. I still don't know. Think we know for sure. We have a 30+ game sample size, so I think we're getting to the point where we know what Kuzmenko is and what he will be in the NHL. But the other thing, and it relates back to the Horvat situation, is, and I said this to you a few weeks ago, earlier in the season, is I thought that it would actually be irresponsible for the Canucks to sign Horvat without knowing what Kuzmenko is. Right. And that's not to say that you would prioritize Kuzmenko over Horvat. That's not to say that he's the better player. Yeah. But then, like, how could you drop that $8 million or whatever it was going to cost to sign Horvat without knowing whether Kuzmenko was a 40-goal guy or an 80-point guy? He might be that, he might not be. Yeah. The stats are projecting that way right now. If you go to traditional eye tests, you look at things that Kuzmenko does on the ice, and I think that he's going to be a contributor for the next 5 years, a major contributor. We're getting to know that now, but signing Horvat to that deal would have committed you to letting go of Kuzmenko, and I don't think you should have done that until you knew for sure what you had in him.
Good. So what you're saying is now that we've seen what Kuzmenko can be, how he can be the complement to Pettersson that maybe we wanted Besser to be, but maybe Kuzmenko is more suited that way. Who knows what's going to happen with Besser? Now it's less irresponsible. It's more responsible. We can now make a better informed decision.
Absolutely. And Kuzmenko's not going to cost $1 million. I don't think he will. I think Kuzmenko's going to come in at 5.
Yeah, 5 or 6. Yeah, I agree.
5 or 6. 5 or 6 for a 70-point guy who has a defined role. You put him in a situation, he's going to do that thing and he's going to do that well.
Yeah.
That's worth more to me than an $8 million center who can't back check.
Yes, fair enough. So if you're following this through, you guys, this is the whole point of this. Is my point is, if I listened to my brother earlier, I would have been able to better predict. A lot of us would be able to predict the way this Horvat thing was going. Jason set up this notion of the smoke screen that Jim Benning used back in 2017 when he talked about Cody Glass, but ended up drafting Elias Pettersson, and then using that same theory of a smoke screen that all good managers and all good management will do. Maybe Rutherford and Alvin, they knew all along that Miller was their guy. They talk up Horvat, basically put some pressure on Miller to sign and sign now. And now, at least in their mind, maybe they always had in their head, we hope Kuzmenko works out. We're going to commit some of that Horvat money to him as well as move Horvat for some pieces. Is that basically potentially the big picture here?
That's the big picture. And I'll add on one more layer to that, is that I think they probably also knew that Horvat has more trade value than Miller. So if you're looking at maximizing value amongst the team and where you can extract surplus value in a transaction, to me that's Horvat, because even though Canucks fans are well aware of Horvat's shortcomings, he projects bigger than he is, I think, outside the team in terms captain, character,
all those things,
leadership, and now you add on goal scorer to that list.
Yeah, big spotlight on him in the bubble when all the Black Lives Matter was going on too. He was front and center.
Yeah. So people think very highly of Horvat. I've never been really sold. One thing that we were talking about earlier today is, you look at the kind of the comment who's been kind of the anchors of the team for the last few years. I mean, Horvat's the guy and he's the captain, and the results haven't been there. So I'm not saying it's all his fault. Obviously, there's lots of factors at play. But at the end of the day, he's been our captain for a good number of years. He's been the core of the team. It hasn't worked. This is the time to turn the page.
Yeah, and more of those factors included the fact that maybe even Horvat knows this, and he's fine with us changing scenery, going to a team that could give him a better chance to win.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, there's a lot there, a lot to sink our teeth into, but thank you, Jay, for expressing all of that. And I really good chance to bring my brother on, who knows just as much about the Canucks, less vocal unless you get him going, and then he starts dropping words and contracting words all the time. But I really appreciate you having us over here. We got to get to our families now. They're waiting for us. Basically, we see all the kids running across trying to get our attention, so we're gonna go open some gifts. But Canucks fans, let me know in the comments below, do you kind of see where my brother's coming from? The whole smoke screen effect, the fact that maybe the long play all along was indeed to keep Miller, to trade Horvat, but there's all these little things that they did in the meantime to set that up to where we are now on December the 27th. So let me know if you agree with Jason's opinion. I actually do. He's convinced me, as much as you guys know, Bo Horvat's my favorite player, but this makes a lot of sense to me. Give me your score prediction. Give me your first Canucks goal scorer. And who knows, maybe tonight we're vlogging. I'm live streaming about a Canucks team that's over 500 for the first time since, sometime last season. So shout out to my sponsors, Van City Express Real Estate, Performance Transform, Personal Training, Weight Loss. Thank you, legendary Lucas Gates, legendary Justin Credible, legendary Andrew Chang, Hall of Fame franchise members. Thank you to you, Jason, and for everyone else. Subscribe if you'd like to. Like this video, leave a donation, upgrade your membership, become a member, and finally, leave a comment down below. Score prediction, first Canucks goal scorer, and do believe a word that this guy just said. Stay safe, stay healthy, take care of yourselves, and take care of each other. God bless, and
go Canucks, go.
There you go. Bye, guys.